Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Why, hello there, and yet another gorgeous September day in Pittsburgh, PA. It's September 16th, to be exact, and it's a Friday, which I look forward to because it means I don't have to, in any kind of compulsory way, turn my attention to the news of the day. Understanding that I once made a promise of an effort. I think that's how I can fudge this. Promise of an effort to keep Fridays lighter. I am aware of that. And I do have some topics on my little agenda that are in fact not political and are not anything that should create too much consternation. However, I also do have, we cannot avoid some of the electoral stuff today. I just don't know whether we want to, do you want to start with the good news or the bad news? And I'm thinking since Dorothea is the member of our little community here, who likes to keep my feet to the fire on Fridays, has specifically reminded me yesterday or the day before about Fun Friday. Remember Fun Friday. I think what I'll do is let's start with the crap. And so we go off into the weekend with some pleasant stories in our head. How's that? So we'll just, eat our vegetables first, and then we'll get down to the dessert. Okay? Let's do that. So I'm not quite clear what's going on. I wake up and I try to catch up with all the nonsense that has happened since I tuned out the night before. And it's the birther crap back, right? And I want to be on top of this. So if any of you are monitoring, news during this hour, if the Tangerine Nightmare comes out with a definitive statement during the course of this show, I would love it if you would let me know. Okay. I don't know that he will. He's teasing that he's going to make a big announcement. But this is how he keeps the media and then consequently the American people waiting for his next move, his every utterance. I heard a reporter on CNN today say, Hillary Clinton is due here any minute to give her a speech to this organization, and she is speaking now. I'm saying that. And he said, but Donald Trump is expected to also make a speech here in Washington, D.C., and as he invariably does, he suggested that Trump has a way of creating these controversies or one little statement that he says it's hard for Hillary Clinton to get the media's attention because Donald Trump is always doing his silly little antics, right? Essentially. And he made us, he didn't say it that way, but that's what he was saying. He said he takes up all the air in the room. He does not allow media to pay attention to things I guess it's supposed to be paying attention to, including Hillary Clinton. So he says that and then throws it back to the anchor in the studio with all their, her array of yappers and talkers, and nobody says the obvious thing, which is, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. Who's forcing the media to follow him around and fall for his shtick? If the media are not taking the time to cover Hillary Clinton or to cover the substantive issues of the race, nobody's forcing them to do that. That is their choice. Media chooses to cover the clown and his sideshow. And the fact that they now just flat out say, so we won't be talking about the substance of Hillary Clinton's speech today because Donald Trump has got us wound around his little finger, and now we're all hanging, trying to figure out what the next thing he's going to say about whether Barack Obama was born in the United States or not. What? I think the heading is dereliction of duty. I think that's what it is. And I do still despair mightily about how ill-served we are in this election by the people, the fourth estate, a very important part of our country if it is to manage to survive. And that's the way them old founding fathers felt about that fourth estate. That's why freedom of the press, of speech, expression, and all of that is number one on those Bill of Rights. It's alarming and continues to be. So here's a little bit of reportage about all that. The New York Times reports today that the Clinton people are a little nervous. And they're especially nervous because there are a lot of Democrats who just aren't, first of all, into her. Maybe they'll vote for her. There's a lot of young people and a lot of young black people, especially, aren't into her. And they're trying to figure out how, in the remaining 7 weeks, to get these disaffected people into their camp and to hold them and to get them to the polls. Without them, we'll have potentially President Trump. We have a call. Hello?
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Well, I have 3 points on the media. One is, do they want him to win?
I wonder that.
And I think not because, because they're so slanted toward Hillary. And I don't think they're trying to give her a good fight. And two, they're whores. They will do anything for money.
Yes, but if they're whores, then they want him to win. Because he brings money.
Right. Oh, he does bring money.
Because he brings them tons of attention. So even if they're for, you're saying that there's a sort of a liberal bias on the part of many in the media, so they tend to probably vote Democratic. But the whores that they are, they want to do the sideshow. So, yeah.
And I think they kind of, and I think they got caught early on, thinking, oh, this guy is such a sideshow. He's never going to make it. He's never going to do anything. We'll just play around with it.
Right.
And I think they are hugely responsible for putting him where he is.
Of course.
They essentially gave him the opportunity to run for president of this country, And it's mind-boggling.
Well, you know what they did?
No responsibility for
No, I know. And you know what they did that I marveled at months ago in my innocence? When I would check out the cable news and I would look, and CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all of them were literally covering live every speech he gave, every movement he made. And everybody was saying, and he doesn't have to, he's not spent a penny on advertising.
Oh.
Well, of course he doesn't have to, because CNN, MSNBC, all of them were essentially being his advertising agents for months and months and months.
Absolutely. Why does he have to have a staff? Why does he need to have, what's he have, 30 people I've heard in the past?
I think he's got a little bit more now, but yeah, not a lot.
He doesn't need anybody. They have free advertising.
That's right.
And you listen to the news, and I try to check, like, just at the headline if I can, and you'll hear, oh, there was an earthquake in Italy. And Donald Trump today, wait a minute, how about a little bit more information on something else?
We've received no information about, the world has been going on for the last year.
Right, and I really think they are doing such a disservice to Hillary by not covering her. And I just, I'm so terrified for this election in November. I'm really scared, especially when I meet people who say, I would never vote for Trump. Well, I'm no fan of Hillary's either. Well, who are you going to vote for? Oh, Jill Stein or, the Libertarians.
And, the people who say that, they don't know anything about what Jill Stein stands for or what's his name, Libertarian Johnson stands for. It's just a petulant, I don't like either of these people vote, but it is, and we're seeing increasingly in the polls, that voting for one of those two is taking votes away from Hillary. It's hurting Hillary, not Trump.
They're all wounded Bernie people. She hurt him. She did him wrong. Poor Bernie. I love Bernie. Get over yourself.
Yeah. It's something. It's something. Again, I will say what Chris Potter once said, we are an unserious people living in very serious times.
Yes, it's so serious. And did you catch Bill Clinton on Comedy Central last night?
No, I saw a little bit of the... Yeah.
I mean, he's in a difficult position too.
Yeah, he is,
I think he's kind of laying low a little bit.
I think he should.
But,
he should.
Like it, yeah. So
he has always the potential of being a loose cannon.
Yeah, I hope she's well. I hope she's well enough to carry on, and I hope she's. I hope she wins in November. I really, really do because.
Well, do what you can.
I will do my best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Bye. Yeah. So Henry writes, and here's a classic. Here's a point. I wanted to talk about this. Henry writes, this morning, of course, all the morning news shows are showing clips of Jimmy Fallon messing up Donald Trump's hair last night. So Trump was on. That's the Tonight Show, right? And it's so cute. Why, they're both laughing. Well, Trump's sort of tolerating it. But it's showing that that's really his hair and all that stuff. And Henry says, but if you didn't see the entire show, then you should. Or perhaps should not. Because on Fallon last night, Trump was communicative, funny, personable, humble, and at times almost seemed presidential. It was not the Trump we see on the campaign trail. It was almost surreal. If he keeps this up, I can see undecided voters taking another look at him. Okay, so Henry's now totally freaked. What I have seen is a lot of blowback on the internet against Fallon for essentially enabling this potential despot, for giving him this opportunity to just seem like a, presidential, affable, humble, all the things we know he is not. And here's where you end up with this problem. He is the nominee of one of the two major parties. And when one of the two nominees decides to go on these shows, that's a big get for that show. So to expect Fallon or any of the others to turn Trump down, and to expect them to take him on, well, some of them now will. But obviously Fallon ain't one, because he made him look, as Henry is saying, very, very human. I don't know. I've always liked Fallon. I think he's very talented, very funny, easy, funny guy. But I'm disappointed. And I'm sure he'd say, well, what the hell am I supposed to say? No, I won't have Donald Trump on my show. He's running for the presidency, for God's sake. I don't know. Now, let us be honest. Fallon humanizes everybody on his show. That's one of the things that's so nice about his show. People you would never expect to be so loose become loose. He does his little bits with them, and it's charming and delightful. So that's part of what he does. But so here's Donald Trump just joining the crowd and being charming. Delightful. People were saying, so if Hitler were running for president, would you tickle his mustache and make fun of it a little bit? And there is this sense on some of our heads, and certainly mine, that because this is not a regular election, this is not normal, we've never seen the likes of this, the stakes are unbelievably high, that you can't just treat him like a regular nominee. You cannot treat him. Because he's not. There is nothing about Donald Trump that says that's presidential material. Nothing. Including his resume. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
Lynn, this is kind of wacky, but it's almost like Trump's like Hitler-esque.
Yes.
He's very cunning.
I agree.
He's very, when he talks to his crowd and he has his people there, he can become almost like a demon, sort of like Hitler would get, all fired up, and the people would just be mesmerized. They were in, and then when he was other places, when he wasn't that wasn't the crowd he was speaking to, he would be the subdued, kind of quiet guy.
That's right.
And it's getting more. Like you said, he's smart. He's a smart fox.
He knows how. Look, here's what he's smart at. There's different kinds of intelligence.
Right.
We know that his emotional intelligence is
childlike.
He's like a child.
You're a teenager,
Yeah, I don't know what his actual intellectual intelligence would be, but his ability to play people, his sales, his understanding of marketing, salesmanship, and just sort of gut-like instinct of what people want and how to deliver it to them and how to keep people hanging and entertained.
To do it.
He's a genius when it comes to that, quite clearly.
Yeah, he knows timing. Like you said, we're not talking about what's one thing. If you ask a Trump supporter, what's one thing you like about the guy? Don't say the wall. I mean, besides that, I don't know what he stands for.
Yeah, but none of us know anything about what either of these candidates would do because the media do not cover policy. That's what we used to vote on, policy. You don't have to be that old to remember that people didn't vote on who they wanted to drink with. They voted on what those people said they were going to do in office.
Well, I'll just end my little thing here with yesterday's. When we read that letter from that gentleman yesterday, Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
I sent you the email. It said took the oxygen out of the room. He some of these people you have that you read these articles.
Yeah.
That article just floored me.
Yeah.
I just like, oh my God, how did he? This guy went right to the heart of the matter and just explained how this country is, and we're giving it up. We're too lazy to keep.
Well, yeah, he's saying we're not up to the challenge, and Americans, he thinks, unfortunately, we're going to get what we deserve because, again,
our fathers predicted it.
Yeah,
you can't keep an intellectual populace, and you don't care. Well, then we're going to fall within. That's all.
That's right. We're not serious citizens anymore.
Like you, and the last thing I'll say is, like Chris Potter said, we're not as serious. We want to hip and a jop and a joke and at all turns.
Well, we expect that, and even our news has in from the time I started in television news to the time I got the hell out of television news, I saw television news absolutely destroyed. To go from a really serious enterprise, here's what you need to know, covering boring meetings and telling people about things that you do not see anymore on television news. We actually used to cover news when I was a news reporter. And now it's it is simply an entertainment medium.
Movie that called network or broadcast.
Yeah. It's network.
Network, that's what I mean.
It's network.
Network. You've seen the movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
That's
Yeah.
That's the director saw our future, and it's here right now, and we're living.
Right. That's absolutely true.
That movie right now, and it's.
Here we are.
Here we are, and it's not a joke.
No. All right, you.
Get better. Get some things fun. Come on.
I'm getting there. I just got one more scary thing, and then I'm on to fun. Okay. Bye. Margie says Trump is a sociopath. Okay, so here is the New York Times on the polls. This is it's called The Upshot. This used to be Nate Silver. He's peeled off and does his own thing now. Is now a guy named Josh Katz. But he's trying to explain what happened, and he's using sports metaphors, okay? So trying to school us on how people are looking at the numbers. Now, he says, look, here's what it is. Mr. Trump, here's what's happened. Mr. Trump, I can't stand calling him Mr. Trump. Trump has more than doubled his likelihood of becoming president in just the last 3 weeks. So we were talking about these numbers yesterday and how all of a sudden, yiko, what the hell just happened? Well, here's what happened. He doubled his likelihood of becoming president in just the last 3 weeks. Okay. So, and to put it a little more in perspective, 3 weeks ago, a Clinton loss was about as likely as a missed 35-yard field goal in the NFL. Those are considered slam dunks. I mean, right? Pretty much. 3 weeks ago, a Clinton loss was about as likely as a missed 35-yard field goal. And what he did by doubling his chances in those 3 weeks is today that kick has been moved back 10 yards. So now it's a field goal of 45 yards for Hillary to win, if that helps anybody either get nervous or see how the odds are not as good. So Trump's chances of winning are roughly equal to the chance. Here's something else. These people that do this stuff. His chances of winning are roughly equal to the chance of drawing 2 consecutive cards of the same suit. Now, I don't know. You card players might, if you poker players know how often I guess that happens. 2 cards, drawing 2 simultaneous cards of the same suit. But the guy goes on to say, but the football metaphor should not be extended too far. Excuse me. The difference between, that's right, so now, reality check. The difference between probability in sports and probability in an election is one of measurement. Because in a football game, all of the parameters are known. You know the home team is ahead by this many points. You know there's 5 minutes, 41 seconds left to go. You know they need 1 yard. It's 3rd and goal or blah, blah, blah on the one. Ignoring factors like team strength and weather, this tells you everything you need to know to make a really good forecast of who's going to win. But elections really aren't like that. So all of these football metaphors you can take and squirrel them away. They're not without some merit, because we cannot get a perfect representation of the odds because we really don't know who's going to show up at the polls. And the polls don't really necessarily know, because polling is an messy business now. So the situation with the political campaign is more like a football game in which you know how much time is left, but you don't know the score. That's more the metaphor. We now know how much time is left, but we aren't sure what the score is. We can infer it based on all kinds of stuff we're getting in. So this guy's just saying, look, ain't nobody who knows. But if you want to look at the numbers as they exist today, he's got a better chance than he did. She has a harder row to hoe than she did. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hey, Lynn, next week this time, you'll be telling us how she's coming back.
Okay, well, I hope you're right. I hope you...
Guaranteed. I think people are getting a little too upset over this little bounce he got. Yeah, I don't think... You know what it is? I said. The problem is Hillary's going down, and he's staying the same. That's all that's happening.
No.
Infernal Republican strategist. He does, and this guy, he's a guy with the hair, but he's bald in the top.
Caller, guy, you're breaking up.
Oh, sorry.
Every other... Sorry.
Okay.
Bye. We're getting a little bit garbled.
Okay.
Thank you, though. I hear what you're saying. I hope you're right. Chuck writes, you read an email yesterday where the writer said Dukakis blew an 18-point lead, which you found hard to believe. But this is true. Dukakis had an 18-point lead going into Labor Day weekend. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it was closer to the election. But still, that's a huge lead. We haven't seen a lead like that in this. He lost that lead and the election due to 3 factors. 1, the Republicans put out a rumor that his medical records showed that he had been treated for depression. It wasn't true. And anyway, I just want to put this in. What's wrong with being depressed? And if you are depressed, what's wrong with being treated for it? That all makes perfect sense to me. 2. What? We have a call? Okay. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey. Yeah, the last caller, despite his poor connectivity, I think he had a point. We tend to always hit the panic button while the other faction seems to exude confidence no matter how far down they are. Remember, I think you went through a similar conniption of anxiety after the first Obama-Romney debate, where...
Oh, yeah, where Obama didn't show up.
Numbers tanked.
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, the president's numbers were much worse considerably worse in relation to where Hillary Clinton is now after the effects of that first debate. Now, look, understandably, Romney, even though his policies would have been terrible, was at least a rational, well, aside from the Mormonism, which is absurd, but a rational, competent human being who wouldn't have disgraced the office by his mere presence. So obviously, the thought that this man, and I won't refer to him as Mr. Trump, has this particular level of support is ludicrous. It says a really damning thing about our nation.
Yeah, and see, there's no getting away from. That's it. That's it for me. That is why I'm freaking out. Because, as I said yesterday, it's not so much that it's that I don't know my country.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
And
after they reelected George W. Bush.
Well, he's starting to look like a great statesman next to this.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's.
No,
No, I know, but everything's relative. But this is disaster. This is beyond the pale.
And I think obviously it says a couple other points. One, if anyone based their vote on how funny someone can be on a late night comedy talk show, they're a moron. So I'm just going to say that.
Well, but there's lots of morons, okay? But because that's where we are now.
And now that's going to bring me to actually what I wanted to call about this morning, which is because I can't like freak out about polls from day to day because I just kind of got some stuff on my plate anyway. But Kurt Eichenwald, who's the journalist,
yes,
the journalist. I'm
yes,
going to say that
true journalist
who wrote the story in Newsweek
right.
about the Trump
financial empire.
Yeah, and how scuzzy it is.
And how disqualifying it is for him to be able to be president of the United States.
He was on C-SPAN today.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a class in what an actual journalist acts like in his half hour on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
I mean, the C-SPAN often, they feature a wide variety of individuals. And sometimes you get the bottom feeders. That man was a class act.
Yeah. That man you're looking at a Pulitzer Prize for his reporting, by the way.
What he did was he just talked about facts, which are all publicly available,
yeah.
which have been reviewed by accounting firms, by organizations dedicated to reviewing charitable foundations, okay, which are all matters of public record. And
he's not in the entertainment business. That's the difference. He's one of these throwbacks who actually thinks that his job is about doing exactly what you're saying. And unfortunately, there aren't those people in the media anymore that get that kind of exposure.
And what he did, I mean, was when Trump fans would call in and challenge him, and throw out things like, well, the Clinton Foundation only gives 10% to charity, and
which is a lie.
And Chelsea Clinton, makes money. She's the head of the foundation.
Which is a lie. None of them make any.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. This is why you're wrong. She makes no money.
None of them do.
None of them do.
90% goes to charity.
85% goes to charity. 10% is given to other charities.
Yeah.
Where they pulled that number from.
Yeah.
And he said, this is where you can go and look and find out yourself.
Yeah.
And he said, look, this is the era we're in where facts don't matter to some people. He said, now, if other facts matter to you more, like you don't like the charities that the foundation gives to because they're liberal, he said, fine. But if facts really don't matter to you, you're not patriotic. You're not acting like a responsible citizen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hear you. It would have been, yeah.
I mean, when he said things like, well, you're speculating on what Donald Trump would do. He's like, no, ma'am. Donald Trump has said that he put in a blind trust and that his children would run it.
That's not a blind trust.
It's like, that's not a blind trust.
That's right.
He knows what deals he made and what contracts were signed, and his children could not possibly be the arbiters of a blind trust.
Right. Okay, listen, I got to move on because I have promises to keep, okay? I got to move on, but thank you.
Have a good day.
And seek out this report if why should we? We're the serious people, all right? I just want to get this in. Barbara said MSNBC is running a crawl saying, breaking news, Trump soon to make big announcement on birther issue. See? He's got them doing their... he doesn't need to be the huckster outside the tent anymore. MSNBC, let me do that for you, sir. We'll do it. We'll make sure we're waiting with bated breath. All about this. You stop and think about that. Well, or don't. Or don't.
All right, 10:30.
Yeah. Let's get off it. Just get off it. Although I just want to say one more thing about Trump Jr., who made this statement. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. This is where he said something about the gas chambers. Everybody. I mean, these people are beyond belief. But he says this. Here's his full quote. He thinks the media are totally surrogates for Hillary Clinton. He says this, quote, "The media has been her number one surrogate. Without the media, this wouldn't even be a contest. But the media has built her up. They've left her slide on every indiscrepancy, on every lie." Okay, I want to go back to indiscrepancy. Is that a word? Doesn't he mean lie on every discrepancy? He's mixing up discrepancy and indiscreet. I mean, he just flat out Sarah Palin'd a word there that does not exist, I suspect. Indiscriminate exist, but that's not what he's saying. He wants to talk about things that don't add up, discrepancies. And he comes up with indiscrepancy. No, there's no such word. Friggin' idiot. And he says, if we'd done that, they'd be warming up the gas chambers right now.
Oh my God.
That's what Mr. Indiscrepancy said. These people can't even speak English. Let's start a rumor that he wasn't born here. He doesn't even speak the language. Do you know English was not his first language? You can start anything. We could. Should we? Okay. Let's move on. First, actually, speaking of gas chambers.
I'm now looking at dogs on the internet.
Okay.
Can't take it.
Celine has gone on to looking at dogs. If you're really gone, you'll look at cats. But okay. But get this. Do you know who the oldest man in the world is, according to the Guinness Book of World Records? He spent years in Auschwitz. He's a Holocaust survivor. Wow. I gotta say, wow. Is that not amazing? His name is Israel. I'm sure that wasn't his given name. I'm sure he ended up in Israel. But Israel Crystal, the oldest man in the world. He turns 113 today. Can you imagine his life? And that he not only couldn't even the friggin' Nazis kill this guy, but he somehow. Anyway.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
You have a picture of him there? He looks good? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for
So his daughter said they're going to do a bar mitzvah for him. Because it's 113. He maybe, whatever, what the hell. And his daughter said, we're going to have about 100 relatives here, and we'll bless him, and we'll dance with him, and we will be happy. He was born in Poland 113 years ago. He spent time, the Germans stuck him in, his wife and his 2 children in the ghetto in Poland, and then they took him away to Auschwitz, where his wife died, where his children were killed immediately. And after the camps were liberated, he made his way to Israel. and started over. 113. Okay, that's my first good story. This one's not good or bad. It's just another topic which I find interesting because back in the day, many times on my radio show, I argued that our national anthem was just about the worst national anthem in the universe. And I mean, granted, when I hear it played, because I've heard it played, I mean, it can stir me. I know that that's our anthem. But if forced to sing it, I no longer think so. I find the verbiage, the words, so aggressive, militaristic, and in no way talking about the country I love. What does it say about our country? Stop and think about it. It says nothing. It doesn't even mention its name. It's just about bombs. Oh, say can you see? Look what the hell we did. Kaplooey. We blew them away. Yay. I just don't like it. Also, we know Francis Scott Key stole the music. It's an old drinking song. We want an old drinking song for our... It's an old drinking song. It's impossible for most people to sing. The words are cumbersome and not inspiring. And Francis Scott Key, get this, was a slave owner who was absolutely fervently against abolition. So, this takes us to Colin Kaepernick. For Colin Kaepernick not to want to recognize that this song is something that he should show reverence for is a perfectly reasonable thing. Whether Colin Kaepernick knows the whole history, knows that knows it's a drinking song, it's militaristic, you can't sing it, it doesn't even mention the country's name, and on top of it, the guy who wrote it is a slave owner who really, really was into being a slave owner. So I saw a piece saying that, national anthems, what are they about? They have a purpose. They are to conjure deep emotions of patriotism and loyalty and country. And then when sung together to give rise to that pride and feeling of community together. And at a time when this country is clearly not united, it's good to have an anthem that everybody can embrace. But guess what? It appears we don't. We are now seeing that even the anthem divides us. So, it has been said by so many people for so long, and I know it's a fool's errand. We got the wrong song. We got the wrong song. It's in our DNA now and in our ears and in our hearts, and it comes to represent us. And yet, I don't know anybody who doesn't think America the Beautiful would be a better one. I mean, think of that. Think of those lyrics. It describes the glory, the physical glory of our country. And something that everybody could agree on. There aren't any of those lyrics that, make your head spin. Actually, I haven't looked up for a long time. There's other verses of the Star Spangled Banner. I'd like to look some of those up because there might be even more appalling things in there. I don't know.
Oh, don't come up.
Sure, what the heck, look them up. Even God Bless America would be a better one. It's simple, it's direct. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her. Well, I mean, that is just, whatever. I just want to say that national anthems are very obviously sensitive things, and to talk about ridding ourselves of the one we have is never seems to gain any traction. Although I just want to remind people that for most of this nation's history, the Star-Spangled Banner was not our national anthem. Sometimes knowing history helps. It wasn't adopted as the national anthem until 1931. So not even 100 years. So it's not like Abraham Lincoln ever sang it. George Washington never sang it. We were a nation without that as an anthem, without any anthem, for longer than we have been a nation with the Star-Spangled Banner. But the thing is, an anthem should be worthy of our veneration, should accurately display and put out there that which we do love about our country. I don't love the military aspects. That's not where America is special. Or maybe it is, and that's not good. It's
just boring.
It's just crap and boring. Yeah, it's just crap. It's crap. And again, let us note that most Americans don't know what it is. And I used to do a thing, maybe every few years, I'd go downtown with a camera and a mic and ask people to sing it for me. Next to nobody can, because the words don't make any sense to us. And so once there's not someone to your left or your right sort of repeat, we all know it together, but when you pick us out individually, we don't know it. We garble, we put phrases here that belong over there, because it's all just a bunch of muck to us. So, I just wanted to say that. God bless America. And that ought to make people happy. God is the first word in it. There you have it. But I think the one is America the Beautiful. I think that's so clearly the superior song. And the superior portrait of a nation worthy of our love and our veneration. Okay, so now on Fun Friday, there's a kid. He's 9 years old. He lives in, where does the kid live? He lives in Westmoreland County. His father, his father is a priest. What? His father's a priest? His father is a Greek Orthodox priest. And the kid is 9, and he's named William Malis. I hope I'm reading that right. He's from Penn Township, and this 9-year-old, William, will be going to CMU next year. He's 9. He's going to Carnegie Mellon. It's not just any college, he's going to a college that people twice his age yearn to get into and can't. He got in. So this is a kid who, according to his father, at the age of 5 knew the English, Greek, French, Spanish, and Hebrew alphabets, and could speak in some of them. He, what did I see? This kid is frightening. He just looks like a little kid. Anyway, his parents say he began talking when he was 7 months old. That would scare the hell out of me. Think of a 7-month-old. You're carrying him around. They're not even walking. Okay, so you're carrying this little thing around. And his father said, I would say to him, okay, time to go to bed. And he said, the kid just said, I don't want to. Wow, jeez. I don't want to. The baby said a full sentence. And as a matter of fact, that wasn't all he had to say. That was the first sentence he said, I don't want to. And then his second sentence was, I want milk. 7 months old. Yeah! He wrote a book when he was 2, a 9-page book called Happy Cat. He was doing addition and multiplication by the age of 2. He was doing addition at 21 months. He was doing multiplication by age 2. He was definitely reading by then. He was reading all his own books. He learned algebra by the age of 4. He learned Greek at 4. He learned sign language at 4. Celine wants to know how? Who was force-feeding him this?
Yeah.
He was doing it all on his own. And he was also doing that, what is it, if you have a kid like that, what do you do? The Khan Academy. He was doing it on his own online through the Khan Academy. A kid with a head like this and a hungry head, and yet people who know him say that he acts like a regular 9-year-old a lot of the time. He's still a 9-year-old. Kinda. But not really. It is said that when he was 5, he took a 2... Oh, God. Excuse me. Thank you. It's my allergy season. I don't have pneumonia. I had that a few weeks ago. At age 5, William took a 209-page geometry textbook to his room one evening. He read the entire thing, and by 11 the next morning, his father said he was solving circumference problems and had memorized pi to the 15th decimal. And the kid who's listening to this interview with the reporter, when his father said, and he'd memorized pi to the 15th decimal, William said 20th. Okay. Well, he learned trigonometry at 7 on his own. He read novels, wrote essays, took high school calculus at 9. And he graduated. He's out of high school now, which is why he's going to CMU. He graduated from like a regular high school. I forget where. Somewhere in Westmoreland. Penn Trafford. And CMU actually invited him to enroll. He wants to be an astrophysicist. He has been tested. Obviously, when you have a kid like that, you think, hey, what do we do with this kid? And so they went to one of the experts in child prodigies and genius. Turns out it's a professor at Ohio State. She gave him the Stanford-Binet Intelligence Quotient Test, the IQ test, which, by the way, only goes up to 160. You can't get higher on that test. Well, he just nailed it. 160. And she said, he was what, 5 at the time? She said, he's a genius. She says that we have a word for this. He's a genius. Although she also says that if the graph, the IQ is actually measures the cognitive age. It said if the test were sort of different, obviously his IQ, she says, is over 160. But that scale does not go. She said, I don't know, we could be looking at 200 or something here, or even higher. He is off the charts. William Malis, Westmoreland County. What a strange reality. But by all accounts, he's a happy kid. He must be used to being different. From the minute he was, it's just... You think? Celine's saying it'll be a lonely life. Well, yeah, because you're odd. That's odd. That's not normal. He's not the norm, but that would be his reality from day one. So maybe he's perfectly okay with it. I don't know. And also, so this was in the Post-Gazette today, by the way, in the that section where they give us news from out in the hinterlands, like Westmoreland County. And one of the cute things, again, while he's talking to his dad, he's sitting there while his father's being interviewed, and his father said that his son, when he was 5, met a Chinese girl at school, and he learned to count to 100 in Chinese, plus primary and secondary colors and the names of family members and stuff, in about an hour. And then his father, the priest, Greek Orthodox priest, says, and then he also learned the Chinese alphabet. But then the 9-year-old pipes up. There is no Chinese alphabet, Dad. Correcting him. There is no Chinese alphabet, Dad. The main Chinese dialects are Mandarin and Cantonese, and every word has its own symbol. And then he launched into a discussion of alpha-syllabary. Excuse me? Of alpha-syllabary, which is consonant-based languages. One of which he's actually creating on his own. He's creating a language based on Phoenician consonants and Greek vowels. Oh, jeez. Incredible. I hope he's okay. Obviously. He wants to be an astrophysicist, so CMU's a good fit. I can't imagine he'll live on campus. He won't. You can't put a 9-year-old in the dorm. He'll be 10 when he goes in. But what his parents are doing is he's going to CCAC right now, in between, so that he can just get, what is the point? Can you imagine going to a class at CCAC and you see this little kid sitting next to you, and he probably knows more than the professor. Jeez. But his dad wants him to get a sense of what a college is like. But I got a feeling a CCAC class is not getting a sense of what CMU is going to be. Whatever. I wouldn't want to parent them. I would not. Okay, you have another vote here on the national anthem. Oh, Mary is telling us that that in the third stanza, Francis Scott Key is rejoicing that slaves were killed. But so that's our national anthem. Okay, here's the. Wait a minute. He wrote it on September 14th after witnessing the British bombardment of Fort McHenry at the Intercept. Key's little-known third stanza includes these lines. Oh, as the Intercept noted. Here it is. I wish I knew what part so I could sing it for you. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. So no refuge could save the hireling and slave from the gloom of the grave. And by the time he wrote those words, the British military included a regiment of former slaves called the Colonial Marines, whom the British had encouraged to escape, and then they trained them and armed them. And he was referring to, we killed those traitorous slaves. That's your national anthem. I think I'll take a knee, too. Okay, you guys, I sorta turned things around with the help of a 9-year-old genius and a 113-year-old Holocaust survivor. That's all good news as far as I'm concerned. Have a great, great weekend and take a break from those god-awful TV shows. They are not news. They are fuck your head up shows. That's all they are. Excuse my... Why do they blame the French for that? Excuse my language. And have a good weekend.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.